It's about getting down to earth, coming to the business in hand, doing it with utmost efficiency, sorting out actually what is priority and what isn't, what actually needs our attention. This is a gift of Virgo, and Virgo is flexible. It's a mutable sign. Hi, and welcome to my video about the new moon in Virgo, happening on the 23rd of August at 7 o'clock a.m. in the morning, 7:07. This is such an interesting new moon because Virgo, the Virgo season, will actually encompass two new moons. So two new moons, one right at the start of the sign and one almost completely at the end of the sign, shortly before the equinox. And not only that, but the second of the Virgo new moons will be a partial eclipse. And in between the two moons, there is, of course, the eclipse in Pisces. So what a fascinating, multi-layered and interesting time we find ourselves in. The first of the Virgo new moons this year happens at 0 degrees 23 of Virgo, so right in the very, very beginning, where actually it's quite potent. Beginnings are very potent points. They're the anaretic degree. They're very powerful. 29, 30, 0 degrees is all the anaretic degree, a really supercharged point. The second of the Virgo moons will happen right on 29 plus some degrees of the sign. So it's like bookmarked with the sign of Virgo, with these two new moons in it. And I think this is really saying to us, let's look at the treasures of Virgo and what it has to offer us here. Now, there's some very interesting things going on with this new moon, some very interesting patterns that the planets are making, aspects that they're forming between themselves. First off, Virgo in the early degrees and the outer planets are all in early degrees. Now, these are the big movers and changers and influencers of our times, of the moving history we're seeing happening around us. That's very much shaped by those outer planets. Often, we can't personally reach the energy of those planets, although we can see their effects unfolding. But because they're in relationship, or certain ones of them in relationship to the moon, to the new moon, the moon acts as a filter, a portal, a valve, in way in which these energies can actually be accessed by us. We can actually have connection with them in a very personal way. So this is quite a personal moon, as well, of course, as one belonging to the world stage. And it's time to mention a little bit of sheer magic which is going on with this new moon. One first thing I want to mention is that the sun and the moon are right by the fixed star Regulus. Obviously, it's in much deeper space, but they're in the portion of the sky, from our point of view, that it occupies. And so not only is the moon channeling the outer planets for us that I've just mentioned, but it's also bringing in the energy of Regulus, which is very much the heart star, the energy of the heart, of love, of compassion. So that's a wonderful blending that this moon is doing for us. And if that wasn't enough, there's a configuration which is a yod called the Finger of God. Now, this is two quincunxes, so don't worry about that name, but it's just put it this way. The moon and sun are forming a pattern, a connection, firstly to the Neptune Saturn conjunction in Aries, and then to Pluto, which is in Aquarius. And then Saturn and Neptune are forming a connection to Pluto themselves, a harmonious sextile to Pluto. And what you've got is like an elongated triangle with a big point coming out, like X marks the spot, and that point is pointing to the Virgo new moon. And so the resolution of the energies is all to do with that point on that new moon, which we know is also backlit and influenced by the fixed star regulars. So this is powerful. It's part of a powerful eclipse sequence that's happening, and in itself, these are quite significant and interesting configurations. It's interesting, in the chart that I've drawn for the UK, which is where I live, not a million miles from London, the new moon and sun, obviously, are in the 12th house, opposing the North Node in Pisces in the 6th house. And of course, back to that theme of heart that came in with Regulus, it's this sense of service with compassion, service out of love. And the Pisces North Node, and the North Node tells us the direction that we should be moving in now, which is to compassion, to the heart, to love, is in the 6th house, which is the Virgo house traditionally, and the house of service. Not service to self, but service to all. So I want to talk a little bit about Virgo now. I want to flag up some of the very positive aspects of this sign. The first is that traditionally it's a sign which wishes to be useful, wishes to be functional and effective. And it's very much about focusing on daily things. And I mean, what daily things are everything, aren't they? You know, we talk about them as if they're trivial. It's the stuff of life, you know. So it's things like health, nutrition, the body, food and feeding, those kinds of aspects of life, but also routines and rhythms and patterns that we adopt in order to be much more efficient in the way that we complete things. Virgo is fantastic at being able to say, you know, does this need doing at all? Does it need doing now? Does it need doing by me? Where is its priority in my list of things? And then absolutely nailing it and getting on with it. But there is that precision. There is that separate the wheat from the chaff in Virgo. Virgo wishes to be functional and useful, and this is a fantastic energy. Not least because one of the cards that I've drawn for the new moon is this one, where people are beguiled, bedazzled and glamoured by all sorts of irrelevant sideshow, freak show episodes going on. And the message from this Virgo new moon is really to hone right in, laser beam focus to what matters, and ignore, disregard the fanfare, the showmanship, the 3-card trick, whatever is going on to do with these cups. That can be ignored. I got this card. This is a fragile, potentially beautiful gift or possibility or offering coming to us. that needs to be nurtured, focused on, and protected. It's a fledgling energy, but a very beautiful one and a potential. And I think this Virgo new moon is showing us the way to nurture this, to look after this. Because, and this is the last of the cards that I drew for the new moon, there's a lot of unfocused energy around, as personified or typified by the Five of Wands here. Everybody's coming from a different direction. Lack of focus, very much so, lack of focus. And what Virgo offers, par excellence, focus, but focus with flexibility, adaptability, and with an open mind. Now, the moon is square Uranus, and boy, are we feeling Uranus. I certainly have in my own life. I've had quite a bit of knocks from Uranus lately, but that aside, the moon is square Uranus. So we know that this can be surprises, can also be breakthroughs. And this moon in Virgo, and Virgo is associated with bodily health, is forming a positive trine aspect, so a very harmonious aspect to Chiron, which again has this notion of health. Chiron, the wounded healer, but this association with health. Now, in the most positive way, this could be Uranus breakthroughs, the Chiron connection, health. And I think it's a time when, whether that's happening in the collective or wherever, personally, I would say this is a time to really look at your routines, especially those that pertain to your daily life and health. So that might be the meditation that you do, it will be the food that you eat, it will be your sleep patterns, it will be the exercise you take, it will be the way you look after your physical life, your physical space. And this is so important. This is where this moon is leading us. In the big sense, it's about getting down to the fundamentals in the collective. Are people fed? Are people well? What can we do to help those things? That's in the big sphere. Because as my grandma used to say, a little help is worth a rook of pity. And Virgo is all about, how can I help here? How can I be useful here? What will make a difference here? Of course, it's not all sweetness and light. When is it ever going to be all sweetness and light? I not here, I don't think. But a little more on that. We do have the square to Uranus. Uranus upsets the apple cart, often in the big scheme of things for reasons, perhaps good reason, that we can't see at the time. But Uranus can be those breakthroughs, wonderful flashes of intuition, sheer strikes of genius and brilliance, or shocks, disasters, etc., etc. We know this. So there is the square to Uranus, to our new moon, and there's also a semi-square to Jupiter. Now, I think we have a little bit of a warning bell here, because Virgo is telling us focus, keep humility, be precise, almost surgically precise. Keep your eye on the detail. Keep your nose to the grindstone. Think of all the contingencies that are around in whatever it is you're trying to do. And also keep it as simple as it can be in all levels. That's another Virgo message. The beauty and functionality of knowing what's simple. But we've got that semi-square to Jupiter. Jupiter in itself, wonderful, isn't it? You know, it's all abundance and all the rest of it, but it's in a semi-square. And the tendency with Jupiter will be to blow things up big, puff everything up, exaggerate everything. So we've got that happening on one side, and then on the other, the square to Uranus. What can we do? In the outer world, probably very little. In our inner world, quite a bit, actually, because we can monitor how we are reacting. We can avoid that tendency to the big, dramatic, big it up energy that can be around. We can also bear in mind that the unexpected can be there, as it has been for most of this year for sure. But so personally, forewarned is forearmed. We certainly can play into the collective by doing our bit and keeping that focus and keeping our hands on the wheel. So Virgo has a deep connection with the earth, with the cycles and rhythms of life. She's very associated with the goddesses of the harvest and very much with the energy of one who keeps the rituals, which is a priestess energy, which is, humbly keep the earthy rituals that acknowledge the higher things. And so I think being called to health, nutrition on a big scale and a small scale is very important. And also to how we honour and adapt to and keep aware of the changing cycles that are unfolding for us. And Virgo, I think, is an excellent, this mutable, intellectual yet earthy sign is a wonderful vehicle to help us to do this. How we misunderstand the sixth house, Virgo, and daily life, how we dismiss them, think of them as, oh, it's just daily life, it's the mundane stuff, it's the boring. I feel this is so misguided. I heard an astrologer the other day was talking about having a client who came to see him who wanted to know about his spirituality in his chart, nothing else. When the astrologer tried to talk to him, well, what about this aspect, this is happening in your life, no, I just want to talk about my spirituality. And this seemed to me crazy, I suppose, because to me, could he please tell me what part of the chart isn't about your spirituality? Everything we do in all areas of life, including the ghastly mistakes we make and everything else, surely everything is to do with our spirituality, in that everything is to do with how we learn, how we grow, how we develop. And I think that this whole splitting off of like heaven and earth and the sacred and the mundane, to me, they're false divisions. And the most simple things in the world are absolutely magical and sacred too. But back to the idea that this is a new moon. This is a time where we can't see what's coming up. We can't see in the dark of the moon. This is a very fledgling energy. This is something new emerging. Now, this can be emerging for us. It can be dreams, ideas, projects, relationships, creative enterprises, spiritual awakenings, whatever. But it's very embryonic. It's in baby form. And we need to give it the service and attention, practical service and attention, in order for it to manifest and grow. So this is a great time to be thinking with humility, with practicality, with a focus on detail, with an idea of things being useful and of service. And those are messages coming through very loud and clear for us in our daily lives. I can so clearly see how all of it is really impacting on me in such a personal way. But what a magical and highly potent moon this is. Can I take a moment just to thank people who've subscribed to this channel and who like videos and leave comments, which is so appreciated. You keep me going, you inspire me, you make me think, yes, get on and do another video. It's very much because of you, because of your warm responses and your encouragement. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know everybody's time is very tight, and I know there are many calls on your attention, and I really appreciate you keeping me company on this little channel. There's going to be a lot coming up, isn't there, with the full moon in Pisces and then the second new moon in Virgo, and we're headed to eclipse season, and it's sure to be a very interesting time. Have a very good new moon. It's been lovely spending time with you, and I will be back again soon. So I wish you bye for now.